What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing a few different details or concepts about food or relating to food that I didn't really pay attention to or went completely over my head when structuring my first ever meal plan or nutrition plan that ultimately would have given me better results had I implemented them. So if you are struggling to build your own nutrition plan, don't know really how to go about manipulating your food in order to get fat loss and also get muscle growth, or you want to make your meal plan better, if those scenarios apply to you, then you can use some of the different concepts in this video that I'm going to discuss to help enhance it, make it better, get better progress, better results, do it more efficiently. And the reason more efficiency is important is because a lack of efficiency or being inefficient usually leads you to experience a little bit more frustration. Frustration paired with a lack of knowledge, primarily at the beginning of your fitness journey, is 9 times out of 10 the reason a lot of people give up or struggle. And I would hate to see you guys do that. So in order to combat that frustration, we want to work on being more efficient. In this video, I'm going to discuss a few different concepts or details that will help your food or your meal plan be more efficient so that you get better results, you feel more energized, you look better, all that kind of stuff. Before we get into the video though, if you guys are new to my channel, my name is Megan. I help people build their dream physiques, ultimately their dream lives, because I've noticed when you guys tell me what you want, the transformation that you want, if we take you steps back, you're describing also a whole new person. So if you want to work with me one-to-one to build your dream physique, track all your metrics, help you get there, I will leave the application to that in the description of this video. If you're a good fit and I have spots available, I will personally be contacting you to let you know that I would love to be your coach. One more thing that I want to tell you guys before I get into the video is that I do apologize. I am sick, and if I have to drink water or I'm constantly clearing my throat or anything like that, just know that I'm just want to get this video out for you guys. So I do apologize for the hoodie on and not being at my whiteboard, not being at the office. But yeah, without further ado, I want to remind you guys to do hard shit, be confident, have the courage to be uncomfortable, but most importantly, don't give a shit what anybody says about you. I'm going to go ahead and get right into the meat of the video and tell you guys how you can make your meal plan better. All right, so I'm going to move myself over here so hopefully you guys can see me. I just recently discovered that I could move my little picture. So I've been making videos this whole time with myself in the corner. So now I'm going to be right there with you guys. But the first thing that I want to discuss with you guys is going to be your deficit. So the reason I want to talk about the deficit first is because it's like the tip of the iceberg. Okay, so many people will go online, Google it or whatever, and find their deficit and just run with that and then fill it with random things or whatever. And that is the same concept of lose weight, eat less. Lose weight, yes. At the end of the day, if you're coming especially from a point of being more overweight than the other person or another person, yes, it's a weight loss journey, but it's not as simple as losing weight. It takes a little bit more strategy, a little bit more method to the madness in order to craft and build your dream physique, which is 9 times out of 10 what you guys are wanting, right? Because you don't want to be smaller. Losing weight is just by definition weight loss, right? So you could lose muscle, you could lose fat, you could lose both, which would mean that you would just be a smaller version of what you already are, which I would argue to say that you probably don't want to be. You probably want to do that because that's not what I wanted. And I talk to you guys all the time. So, I mean, I know. I'm not going to venture to say, like, I know you guys don't want that. Anyways, you will need to be in a caloric deficit in order to lose weight. But the deficit that you want to be in should not be as aggressive or as steep as you're going to be inclined to make it. You're going to be inclined to do that because you're probably going to be a little bit frustrated, a little bit insecure. We need to make sure that throughout creating this food plan or meal plan, we need to be making decisions and plans and strategies based off of logic and reason, not our insecurities because we don't like how we look in the mirror, or not because of our frustration that we haven't lost fat in 10 years or 5 years or 2 years or 6 months. Okay, you're going to feel those things, but they should not affect your decisions. Okay, use science and logic to build this plan, not how you feel. So that's the first things out of the way, right? You have to be in a caloric deficit. That's kind of obvious. That's why it's also like the simplest concept. Like I mentioned, the tip of the iceberg. And then before we get into when we talk about the actual nutrients, I want to discuss a little bit of restriction here. Over restriction can end up making things a lot harder than you think. If you try to starve yourself here, if you try to undereat because you don't know the right amount to eat or because you aren't doing things properly, it's not going to work. You are going to struggle, you are going to suffer, and it's going to fuck up your relationship with food. And I am saying this from personal experience, as well as kind of the fact that I already mentioned I talk to you guys all the time, and I know you guys struggle with this. So let me be the little voice in your head to tell you, over-restricting yourself or restricting yourself into your dream physique doesn't work. That's not how it's going to work. Because when you restrict, you can only keep going smaller and smaller and smaller. Yes, I'm not going to say that you should never restrict yourself. You should have some level of restriction and control over yourself at all times, but that's in the grand scheme of life. not with your food. You should not be eating damn near nothing, because that can also cause you to hit a plateau in terms of weight loss or muscle growth or anything like that, because your body's under so much stress because it's not getting enough nutrients. So we want to make sure that, yes, we have a level of self-control and restriction over ourselves in all aspects of indulgence, not just food, but we don't want to let our frustration and our insecurities cause us to over-restrict. So now that we've discussed that you need to be in a deficit and that you need to be careful with restriction, let's go ahead and discuss the nutrients of that deficit. So I mentioned that a deficit is going to be the tip of the iceberg when building your meal plan or your food plan. And I mentioned that because under that tip of the iceberg is going to be the nutrient profile of said deficit. If we don't look at the nutrient profile, even just a little bit, even to some degree, that's when we're going to be playing a guessing game with, are we losing fat or are we losing muscle? In order to ensure that we are building muscle and losing fat, we need to manipulate the macronutrient profile of the deficit. What does that mean? Well, we need to make sure that all of our carbs, fats, and protein are in check in terms of their relation to each other, their ratios to each other. A good rule of thumb is eating enough protein per pound of body weight. If you're overweight, then you can go ahead and just eat a gram of protein per pound of your weight. One thing with that is, if you are new to this journey or you're just starting, a lot of people tend to not hit their protein goals. And I mean, there could be a bunch of different reasons. Either you don't know how to, you don't understand different nutrients, or you don't have a plan in place. It can be overwhelming to wake up in the morning and be like, I need 170 grams of protein, because you have absolutely no plan or strategy. I mean, even if I were to wake up and be like, well, how am I going to hit my protein today? I'd be reluctant to do it. That's why you need a plan and strategize on how you're going to do this. That's why I'm making this video, to try to help you build your meal plan and have different protein sources ready, so that you're not waking up and being like, oh, good morning world, how am I going to hit 180 grams of protein, or whatever your protein goal is, right? You can mess around with the carbs and fats depending on you. What I'm going to tell you with that information is that I can't build you a workout, or not a workout plan, a food plan or a meal plan or a nutrition plan and strategy if I do not know you directly. So, and I'm making this YouTube video obviously for my subscribers, anyone who comes across this. So I'm just going to tell you what I would do for someone I was coaching and what I do for myself. When you were looking at the nutrients, of course, you want to prioritize protein, not only because it's going to build muscle, but also it's going to keep you satiated. With that being said, here are a few key things about each macronutrient that you can use when you're trying to structure around your day or what you're doing. Number one, protein. Obviously, I just told you guys you need that to build muscle. 9 times out of 10, you guys aren't hitting your protein goal. That's why you're skinny fat. That's why you're not building muscle. You can play around with carbs and fats. The main thing to understand with carbs is that it's a source of energy. What does that mean? Why is that important? Well, a lot of the times I will sandwich my clients' workouts in between their 2 meals that are highest in carb. Carbs to give them fuel in order to perform well and build that muscle, and then carbs to replenish the glycogen storages they just burned through, all the carbs that they just burned in that workout, so they can have proper rest and recovery and be able to fuel that muscle growth. Now, one thing to understand is that if you have quick digesting carbs before your workout, it's all on meal timing as well. If you eat carbs before your workout and then you find yourself crashing during your workout, I would recommend eating about 5 to 10 grams of fat. Again, play around with it. If you eat X amount of carbs before your workout, you go work out, you keep track of that time window, you get to your workout and you're crashing, or you're lacking energy, or you're tired, then tomorrow, next week, whenever, go try implementing a few grams of fat. And then when you go work out and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better, you know that that works for you. That's literally what I do with my clients. We try every single thing based on the knowledge of what a macronutrient tends to do to people. But because I track all their metrics and data, I know exactly what it does to them and to that person and this person. And so I have all that data comprised in a bunch of data to be able to build on the most efficient strategy to get where they want to be, because everyone is different. There's no right or wrong answer that I can tell you right now that's going to solve all your problems. I can, however, tell you what they tend to do, or what majority of the time they do. That way you can try it for yourself, keep track of all your data, and then build the best plan. It's the only way you're going to figure it out. So that's the main thing with carbs. I tend to focus a lot of their carbs peri-workout, so it's going to be before and after their workout, protein before and after their workout. And then we have the last source, which is going to be the fats. Fats are a little bit of a longer lasting source of energy. They tend to digest a little bit slower. So the only caveat with that is if you have too much fat in one meal, it can tend to make you a little bit lethargic, a little bit tired, make you feel like you need a nap. A lot of the times I will be programming majority of people's fats towards bedtime, so they have that longer lasting source of energy to keep them full throughout the night, as well as priming them for bedtime, because it's going to make you sleepy. I'm telling you these things because this is what I consider when people tell me, oh, I feel tired here, or I'm crashing during this, or I seem to be lacking energy right around this time. And then I'll go look at their data and be like, okay, that's when you do this, or when you eat this, or this is what's in your schedule. Let me re-strategize based on what you've told me so far, and this should help. And then 9 times out of 10, next check-in, they're like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. Do that for yourself. I just told you what most of them do, how they work. Go test it out. Literally just keep track of how you feel, what you ate, take a look, literally just take a couple steps back, and then you'll be able to tell how you should build your plan. And that's going to kind of lead me into the next thing, which is going to be phases. I realized that I just clicked on the pen and I haven't used it until we're at the damn near end of the video. Looking at phases, like you have to go through a few testing phases before you know the best way for you to lose weight. Yes, you can throw yourself in a deficit, but it's much more strategic than that, as I've said this whole entire video. What I mean by phases is allow yourself the time or the leeway to test different things out. What I tell you paired with what every other YouTuber on the planet tells you can help you build the most optimal plan for you. And I say optimal because I'm not a big fan of the word optimal, because optimal is usually dictated based on context that's not necessarily stated. So whether it be through context of science or whatever, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, optimal is just based on the client's likelihood of adhering to the plan. So when I talk about what's most optimal for Susan, might not be most optimal for Johnny or whoever. But whenever we talk about optimal, I guess people will talk about it through the lens of science. People get that skewed and think that it's what's best for them, not necessarily the answer. Anyways, go through those testing phases, see what works best for you. Go online, because again, you're not going to be able to Google your true metabolism. As I just said, every single person on this planet is different. You can go and get a good idea as to what your deficit may be, and then run a trial period. Keep track of everything, see what works, because you only have to learn this once. You learn this once and you will forever know how to manipulate your body composition, how to get where you want to be, how to look this way, how to change that, how to do whatever. And if I didn't understand that at the beginning, I literally did not understand that. I didn't understand that once you learned it, you know it, and you can do whatever you want with your fat mass, your muscle mass, with your body, whatever. And that's going to look like putting yourself in that deficit that you Google, seeing if you lose weight. Okay, you lose weight, eat a little bit more. See how much food you can eat while also maintaining that trend of weight loss on the scale, so that you're not starving yourself simply because you didn't want to test. If you don't have enough fuel to be able to build muscle, or you're eating less than you could have been, you're going to be operating inefficiently. So find out what works best. Try different things. That's something that I encourage you guys. Be curious, be inquisitive. Wonder why. Ask yourself, why do I feel this way? Instead of just being like, oh, I'm tired, I'm going to go take a nap. Well, just be like, what did I eat that's making, like, something must be making me feel tired. What could it be? Just ask yourself why to a bunch of different things that'll help you build a good meal plan. Last thing that I want to discuss is going to be hunger cues. We have 3 main things that will dictate our hunger cues or indicate to us that maybe we need to eat. Unfortunately, the weakest of those is our actual energy balance, or our homeostasis. So what our body needs to maintain its current activity levels is the weakest form. It's easily overpowered by our environmental factors as well as our behavioral patterns. So this can look like us not getting enough sleep, or experiencing a very high stress day at work, and we feel abnormally hungry, shall I say ravenous, maybe starving. You can see how you didn't really do much extra that day. You didn't really exert any more energy. You didn't work out any longer. You didn't do any more cardio. But because you experienced a very high stress environment for the whole day, and maybe you have a behavioral pattern of binging, that will make you think you're hungry. And you'll experience this intense feeling, maybe not even intense, just a feeling of hunger or the inclination to eat. And you may act on it because you don't understand that your hunger cues are not always affected by what your body actually needs, or a need for excess nutrients due to excess activity, but rather excess nutrients because of excess stress, which would then correlate to being in a calorie surplus. That would then correlate to being overweight. A lot of the times I've noticed that some of the most overweight people tend to be some of the most stressed out people, like people that experience very, very stressful lives. That's why sometimes a lot of really successful people that work very stressful office jobs and stuff like that, tend to be a little bit more overweight, or carrying excess body fat, or just not to have the composition, especially the muscle mass, that they want. And that's because when you experience those high stress environments, or any environmental factor that weighs on you to the point where it affects your emotions or anything like that, because food does make us feel a sense of happiness, can be used as a dopamine hit in a way, our bodies will be inclined to eat or experience more hunger because it knows that, and not because it knows it needs more nutrients, because in reality it does not. Just being aware of that can help you tackle the problem a little bit more. It's not easy, but just knowing that you're not actually hungry, and that the hunger cue that you should trust is honestly the weakest one and it gets overpowered frequently, can help you battle that or navigate that issue just a little bit easier. With those concepts being said, I want to tell you 3 key things that you can use in order to structure the best meal plan or nutrition plan for you when attempting to build your dream physique, lose body fat, and build muscle. Put myself here. There we go. 3 principles when building your nutrition plan. Number 1 is going to be, I'm just going to put a little sticky note. The first thing, because it's going to be too hard for me to like write it out, especially on the little mouse pad. The first thing that you're going to do is find out what your favorite foods are. That's step one, okay? What are your favorite foods? This is still a part of step one. After that, put it into different categories based on what nutrient it is, or what is it mostly heavy in. So carbs, fats, protein, whatever. And then put them in those little columns. And then step two, just copy this and then delete it. Oh my God, I should just got a new sticky note. Okay, number two, figure out the deficit you're going to test. So once you figure out your favorite foods, go on Google and figure out your basic activity levels, your height, age, all that stuff, and figure out the deficit or the caloric number that you're going to test. Then, lastly, find out macronutrient goals. So what that's going to look like is, again, like I said, implementing the amount of protein per gram of body weight of either your goal weight or your current weight, depending on how overweight you are, and then playing around with the carb and fat levels. So figure out what your protein is, and then go ahead and mess around with fats and carbs. You're going to do a trial period or a period of testing to figure out what works best for you. Those are the first 3 steps of figuring out or getting started in the process of building the perfect meal plan or finding the nutrition plan that you would need to, implement in order to lose body fat and build muscle, i.e. build your dream physique. That is everything that I have for this video. I do apologize, guys, for being sick, but I did want to get this out for you there today in case you need help building your meal plan. Again, if you do want to work with me one-on-one to build your dream physique, where I will do all of this for you and much, much, much more, I will link the application to that in the description of this video. Like I said, if you're a good fit and I have spots available, I'll personally contact you to let you know that I would love to be your coach and that I would love to work with you. If you want to see more of me on the day-to-day, I will go ahead and link my Instagram in the description of this as well. I post more about my clients, about what I'm currently training for, and more about me. You'll get to see me on a day-to-day. Lastly, you only have so much time. You can't save it. You can only spend it. So quit freaking wasting it. We are halfway through the 2nd month of the year. I would hate for you guys to wake up a year from now and be like, damn, ain't nothing changed. Come on, get after it. I will say this at the end of every single video in hopes that it lights a fire to your ass to get you going, because I know what it feels like to feel stuck, and I wouldn't want anyone else to feel that. If you were going to begin this journey of building your dream physique, I will go ahead and link the subscription button to my channel over here, as well as my most recent upload. I not only post about training, nutrition, but also the psychology of building your dream physique, how to be successful, how to achieve your goals, and the actual science behind why you think the way that you do based on myself and all of my clients. So I'm going to link all of that right over here for you, as well as, on my YouTube channel and my Instagram. You see everything that I do, because everything I tell you guys to do, I also do, because who am I if I'm not leading y'all by example? I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.